This isn't just a jet, this is Boeing's newest widebody. It folds, flexes and plans to be the new future flyer of choice. Definitely not blending in here underneath the blazing desert sun. So buckle in, because we're going to go for a walk around, take a step inside, and then we'll take some front row seats for one of the sleekest flying displays over Dubai. From the tarmac it might look like a beast, but climb those stairs, you're stepping into a flying laboratory. Welcome to business class. Well, actually not quite how it's going to look, as it's full of test equipment at the moment, but I'm sure when it's all kitted out, this fella will be the first in line to try the new product, which is slated to be the widest in the market and designed to make the long-haul slog less punishing for passengers. Lined up in the cabin were these temporary water barrels you can see there, allowing the pilots to move the centre of gravity during critical flight testing. Very important work indeed. And then the engineers sit in those cabin seats during those test flights, monitoring all the aircraft data in real time at altitude. So after a quick look round, I came across this sky god in his natural habitat, and after a bit of blether with him, managed to be granted access into his office. And here it is, this large and comfortable place in the sky, which takes me back. Old memories of the 787, and this one here has touchscreens for direct selections, a big yoke, look at that thing, and head-up displays for important flight information. This cockpit will be familiar to all 787 drivers, and in fact the concept is going to be very beneficial because the 777X family and the 787s will enjoy a common type rating. Most important of all up here, with the flick of a switch you can unfold those wingtips with less effort than closing the sunroof on your car. Simply flick, unfold and fly. Sure, you couldn't beat it. And before it was kicked off, I managed a quick chat with this fella about the air display later on.
The flight envelope, or the exploration of it in public, is quite awe-inspiring.
It's amazing what you can do with a really big airplane that's really light.
Well, yes.
So no passengers, you don't need much
That's
fuel.
probably why you don't want me flying it
I think we could accommodate.
with these big
Both,
don'ts.
we'd even both fit. No,
So are we going to see it displayed today?
it will fly one more time today. It has to go back. As you can tell, this is a working aircraft.
Yes.
This is the first of 5 flight test aircraft.
Right.
All of course very active right now. So we,
Yeah.
being the Dubai Airshow, we had to bring it. You just
Yeah.
can't not.
We've basically been given our marching orders because they're kicking us all out to prepare the aircraft, get it all tidied up, ready to display later on this afternoon before it's got to go back to the factory in the States. It is, after all, a working aircraft, part of the research, development and getting it into production team. We've been very fortunate to have a tour around it to meet all the great and the good of that team, the big leading lights, the major sky gods, and those that actually do that wonderful display that we'll see later on.
One last look at the outside. Those GE9X engines hanging off all 235 feet of wingspan when they're fully extended. It really is a sight to behold, I tell you. It's also mighty fuel efficient, designed to sip fuel rather than guzzle it, and so big you could comfortably slide a 737 fuselage into that nacelle. It is bloody enormous. And looking up on the side of the fuselage there, you can see the customers with deep pockets who have placed orders. And then it was time for the engineers and ground crew to get ready for showtime. This is quite extraordinary because I've never been around any aircraft that is still under experimental stage because it hasn't been certified yet to carry passengers. It hasn't got an E-tub swooping, and look at all the people that are still taking pictures around the engines and the undercarriage. It's quite extraordinary, but such is the nature of an air show. But I do see that airside ops and the police have turned up, so I think they will be getting their marching orders pretty soon. But nevertheless, and you can see by the way how tightly packed in it is here, that that high efficiency winglet on the 737 is so close to the steps, so it's very adjacent to hitting other things, so they need to be bloody careful. So we're just waiting now patiently for everybody to get off, the rest of the ground staff, the people that are not going to be involved. There's the ground engineer talking on the microphone. That's the guy in the orange t-shirt, and there is the nose wheel actually in the lifting part of this enormous tug. This isn't a 0 to 60 in a few seconds job. This is a torque machine. It's going to shift hundreds of tons of metal and composite material that goes under the name of the 777X. So you can see that most people have cleared out of the way. It's a bit like the grid on a Formula One race. It's absolutely packed, and then you go away to check your texts, and you look back at the television screen and they've all miraculously pretty much disappeared. There's the odd straggler here who's either wandering off to find a fish and chip shop or have lost their way, but they do need to move, as does that fella there, having a picture in front of the engine to sell. But there we go. That's a lovely new tyre, flight radial. Quite an arrangement that nose wheel is. You've got the steering actuators there, and interestingly as well, if you're a bit of a taxi light geek, if you look up into there, those lights are actually LED lights. They are new, they're not bulbs like they used to be before. It's an array of LEDs, which is a better arrangement and obviously cooler. And so some of them can fail and still get light out of it, which gives you much more redundancy. There's that huge arrangement of 6 wheels on each truck, the left and right mains of this vast machine. I guess that they're going to have to be very, very careful when they're pushing this out, keeping those winglets retracted, shall we say, with the 777X clearly visible from within that test cabin until they're well out of the way. And in fact, they may not do that until part of their lineup checks prior to departure. Still waiting for the step to be taken away, but that should happen pretty soon. Lots of preparation going on still. So there she goes, looking formidable, squeezing out of its parking space. Bloody tight that. She's as light as a feather, and she'll really go up, I tell you, like a homesick angel. Here it is, the big bird with the wingtips folded up, just approaching an intersection departure entry onto runway 30. They've now pushed the switch, and down come the wingtips to lock into place, ready to launch onto their display. It'll be a very light fuel load, and there certainly won't be any engineers sitting down the back. Looks like flat 10 to me. Maybe even 15, but probably 10, and this thing is going to go up like that homesick angel I mentioned before. Cleared for takeoff in very calm wind conditions, poor visibility really for displaying, but they're going to be tight into the crowd line, so they shouldn't lose sight of where their datum is. Full power, checking that everything is responding normally, and off they go down the runway. Not much rudder required to keep them straight, and watch this, pulling straight up past what would normally be the pitch limiter, and we're bloody near at 90 degrees up. The gear is coming in, and now they're going to bunt forward before they run out of flying speed to keep the wing going. Over the top, down they go, and accelerating as the gear comes in, and they start a right turn to come back round, completing what would be, if you're looking down from space, the shape of a P. Probably about 60 degrees angle of bank, adjusting it as they come round towards the datum of the crowd line, and in they come. A beautiful looking bird, and look at this for a steep turn. You can barely hear it, and you don't need to be told what the aircraft is, as it tells you itself, but look at the angle of turn on that, and the pitch rate, keeping a very, very tight turn with virtually no flap whatsoever. Bit of slat and maybe flap 5. Tight turn, quiet, loads of lift coming off that massive wingspan. It's absolutely huge, but as I said, the airplane is very light. Now we're lucky to be able to have them so close in, to be able to see them in that dusty air, because when the airplanes were displaying earlier on, it was bloody difficult to see them when they got away from the field. Now in another level left turn, I expect them to roll the wings level and reverse back round to make a figure of 8. There they go, look at the spoilers deploying and pitching up to do a wing over. Oh no, now they're bunting. What the hell did they do that for? I don't know why they did that. Here they're coming back round now in a level right hand turn, making what would be described as a figure of 8 against the crowd line and the datum. Now they're going to do a reversing of the turn to give you a nice plan display of the airplane, showing off its manoeuvrability. Plenty of flap coming out now to really tighten the turn, expediting the maximum rate of turn as we're going round towards the right. And at any time now we should be seeing that wonderfully much talked about wing over that they do, where hitherto somebody tells me, a little bird mentioned to me, that they got up to about 90 degrees of bank, but that's them done now. The gear is down. They're going through the landing checklist, getting all the way down to flap 30, keep the turn going. They're lucky there's no strong wind here, and they'll be rolling out on the centre line of runway 30 to land as if nothing had happened. We've just been up for a quick flit, and down we come. Watch now as this graceful bird comes in to land, fully configured. Landing checklist complete, air traffic control clearance to land. Nobody's in the way out here at the moment because it is dedicated Airshow airspace. But doesn't that look magnificent? What a bird. It's almost like a 2025-26 flying pencil. There she goes down for a Kerrygold landing onto the black hot tarmac in Dubai. So that's it, the Boeing 777X in full force. So is it perfect? No, of course it isn't, because no jet ever is. But I tell you, Boeing hopes that it'll bring back some of the classic swagger to their hangar. She's certainly got ramp presence, fuel efficiency more than your uncle's hybrid in eco mode, and folding flair to boot. The 777X doesn't scream for attention, but it certainly did steal the show. If Boeing manages to stick to the certification timelines, the 777X may well be Boeing's big ticket back to the top. Thanks very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please do click a like and maybe even subscribe. But until the next time, smooth flying and happy landings. All the best to you all.